Yo, from Signal Flow Studios, you are listening to the Featured Presentation Podcast, where I interview the featured artists on my newest song. Who am I, you might ask? Well, I am singer, songwriter, rapper, producer Zup from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been in the Cleveland music scene for what feels like forever, and my most recent album, For Me, won Cleveland Scene Magazine's Best Local Album of 2023. But enough about me. Today we're doing things a little bit differently, and I am the featured artist this time. The song is called No Strings Attached, and it's by this man right here. Make some noise for Kwase. What's up, man?
Hey, what's happening, Zup? How you feeling, man?
Good, man. Good. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Hey, appreciate you having me, man.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I love this man right here. He's just... We'll get into that. Let the people know a little bit about yourself if they don't know already.
Well, I'm a hip-hop artist from Cleveland. I produce, rap, sing, try to do a little mix of everything, but for the most part, just kind of go with the vibes and everything. And I've been making music for about, I'd say 10 years seriously now. So met Zup this past year, and I'm just very thankful for our relationship having grown and everything.
Hell yeah.
A lot of people I've met this past year have been super open and just putting me on to new stuff and everything. So I've been very thankful.
That's what I was going to say. So, I was thinking about, when we met. So that 420 show that was at the Beachland Tavern,
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, was a wild show because of multiple things. So my DJ RC3, I want to say, I could be wrong, but I think that was his first show he'd ever DJ'd for
Oh,
somebody.
no way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So he was supposed to DJ my album release party, which was the 29th, and then James asked him to do it on the 20th or whatever.
Okay.
So that happened. It was also the first time I'd performed on a stage in 6 years.
Really?
So that was crazy. Met Miley, I keep doing this, Miley Silas. Mikey Silas from Apostle Jones that night. I met the Jordans from Locally Grown that night. And then I met you that night. And you were up on stage. You split a set, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So when you came up for your set, your part of the set, I don't remember if you started with Flaw and Disorder, but whenever that song came on, dude, I know we've talked about this before. I was like, holy shit. And I never, so we dapped it up. We talked after the show or all that stuff. And then I never do this, but when I was walking back to my car, I was looking you up on Spotify, found you on Spotify,
That's my dude.
got in my truck and drove home and listened to your music the whole way home until I got to Flaw and Disorder. And I probably, if you check your Spotify shit on that date, you probably had 50 plays that day from 12 to 1,
That's funny.
But yeah, that shit is great. And then
I appreciate that, man.
anytime I've just seen you and seen your live performance, there's some people, and I'll be honest, I definitely need a band when I perform. Some people might not think that, but I like having a band, and I feel like that amplifies the performance.
Definitely,
or whatever.
It adds way more texture and just it adds a lot to a performance. And honestly, I don't even think you need the band.
That's what I was gonna say about you, man.
I get why, because there's been times where I've had small section of band or a drummer even, and it does you feel the power behind you.
Right. But yeah, man, your performance just without a band makes it feel like you have a band because you're just so amplified and everything. And just I've not seen you do a show where you're not controlling the crowd. And that's it's tougher than it seems, people that don't do this might be like, that's not that hard. All you gotta do is just go like this, but it's a skill, and you got that for sure.
I appreciate that, man. There was definitely plenty of shows where I had no control over the crowd. I assure you.
Me too, man. Me too. Oh man, those are always the most uncomfortable situations too.
But it's if you don't have those moments, I feel like you can't get to the point of having control and realizing what people want out of it.
Absolutely. I've the best advice I've ever gotten was perform for 30 people like you're performing for 3,000 people. You know what I mean? And ever since I put that in my mind, every time I go up there, I'm
just keeping the same energy.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Sure.
And it gets hard, but you just gotta stick with it. Cause most of the time I still get like the butterflies and everything, but I just gotta kind of like, once I get up there, it's like getting on a roller coaster.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, oh, okay, now I'm here, and like I have to like do something.
Right. My thing, I don't know if you ever get like this, but like I'll always be like, okay, and then right when I'm about to go on and the song starts playing, I'm like, fuck, how do I start this song? Every single
like
time.
It blanks out.
I'm like, oh my
you're
God.
about to do it.
Yeah, and I start like thinking of like all these like the wrong things, you know. I'm like, oh shit, was it this one? Because there's been plenty of times where I've done like the second verse for actually at Ingenuity Fest when me and Wasco sat down and did the acoustic. I started singing the second verse, but
that went smooth though, because you guys like just kind of called it out, and then we're like, all right, like we're just
we're like,
again.
I fucked up.
I feel
Let's
like
do this
that's
again.
always the best thing, because that almost brings people like closer to the performance too, because then they're like, oh, like we're all human beings.
Yeah,
like, we make
yeah.
mistakes, you know what I mean? And it's like personifying, or however, like whatever word humanizes it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people like to get up on stage and be like above the audience in a way, like, you know what I mean? And I respect that kind of level too, but I feel like I could never do stuff like that.
Right.
Like I have to just kind of be real and like be in contact with the people and let them know like, hey, you know, I might have fucked up, but we're still gonna keep it going.
Yeah,
know?
Exactly. No, you're right. That's the way to handle it too. I think it just makes it easier.
Yeah, for sure.
So the song that we're here to talk about today, No Strings Attached. First of all, I appreciate you asking me to be on this song.
Man, absolutely.
Love the song. From your point of view, so like, how did this start? So like you said earlier, and I know this, but people might now just be finding out that you also produce too. So did this start as just a beat you made and then that type of thing, or did you have the idea first and then work on the beat?
It started with the sample. So when I heard the sample, I believe it was Voices Over the Radio is the band, and my girl was playing it in the car. And just that acoustic that came in first, I was like, that alone, and like how it rose and all of that, I was like, I need that. Like,
yeah. What is this? Yeah.
And that pretty much like defined the whole like vibe of the song from there. And it was like in a period where I'm trying to do more singing opposed to like rapping, because like I used to just like rap all the time and didn't really have like much else besides that. So I figured like, but I would sing to myself and stuff, and here might have had like a couple tracks back in the day that I was singing on, and my homies were all like, you know, keep singing.
This.
Keep singing. Like, so they really inspired me to like just keep doing it and keep improving upon it. And now I think I'm at a point where like, you know, I can put together decent enough melodies and
you feel comfortable
and things
with
like that. Yeah. So I'm finally in that space now but this was one of the first songs that I really felt like I was like I like this. Like this is like something, you know.
Right. So you made the beat, and then what was like the inspiration to talk about that? Like the subject matter, was that I don't have my phone because I'm using it to record, but you sent me like a text, like a detailed text. This is what the song should be about.
I'm not even gonna lie, I tried to find that.
And right it was before so intricate.
I was like, damn, like I don't know when I was coming up with that description. But
I know, because I had to read it a couple times. I'm like, damn, this shit is deep. I was
like, man, like, because I keep it in the back of my mind usually, where it's like I always, when I write like love music, you know, per se, like I always come back to a point in my life when I was having like a lot of tumultuous situations with relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
Because now, I mean, like, you know, I'm engaged and shit like that. Like I can't bring myself back to heartbreak a lot of the time. You know, there's still certain points of my life now that I can write about and like be revealing, but there was like a very like long period of time, I feel like just my whole, you know, adolescence up to when I was like getting to be around like 22, 23, I didn't really have anything figured out as far as like what I wanted out of like romance and things like that.
Right.
So that's always a period I come back to where it's like, you know, it's like my way of like apologizing to these people. I'm like, because I'm like probably never see some of these people again, but I'm like, man, you know, it's like just kind of like therapy for me in my own way of just sort of like rehashing like these thoughts and feelings that I had.
Absolutely.
And wish I could have expressed back then, but now I bring it up to, you know, put them in music. So.
Right. I love that, because that's what my verse is about too, where I was trying to like pull something. So when you first sent me the song, I loved it. And then I was having a hard time writing to it because of what you said. Like, it was like, man, it's been so long since I kind of like felt like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, how do where do I find this inspiration
Yeah,
from?
sometimes
right?
you gotta like mess yourself up a little bit to
I
like
know.
you're like I'll be sitting there like, oh, I just like made myself so sad.
I was telling my therapist that the one time. I was like, man, writing these songs, like sometimes you gotta like step away because like when you're
definitely.
like thinking of shit that's like real deep, it just
Yeah.
like puts you back into
Because
it.
when
you
it's
know?
real, yeah, like when it's real, like it's supposed to affect you, you know, and you hope that like the audience picks up on that as well, like and kind of interprets that in their own way. But like I feel like a lot of the time when it comes to this type of subject matter, a lot of people have similar experiences.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And that was like, I appreciate this song because this is definitely a subject that I probably never would have wrote to like on my own or solo or anything like that. It's just something that like I probably wouldn't want to rehash, or I just didn't feel like it'd be like not appropriate, but just like necessary.
Yeah.
So having this though, it was like therapy too, because it's like, damn, like now I can, like you said, apologize in some aspect too, because it's like, listen, you know, my verse is like, I thought I laid this groundwork out for you, and you didn't listen, and then you got hurt for it, and like nobody likes to admit like being the person that hurt somebody, you know, and
definitely
it was therapeutic to do that because it's like, because I never would have, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think like because it's like when I was first writing it, it was something where I'm like, a lot of people like want love and like desire to have love in their life, but they don't always know, like even when it comes across them, like how to identify it or how to treat it, you know?
Right.
So, and I was like, I never knew how to like do that thing. I never really had much of like a stable connection with love in my life, so I was like carrying that with me, and I had too much pride too. So it was like a lot of the time like my pride would get in the way of like what was right for me. So but that was, you know, kind of like that's where I wrote the song from, you know what I mean? Kind of before I like learned all this and like became like how I see like more of a man in that aspect, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I think you know, people will definitely relate to this, like you said, and just love it. It's just not only relatable, it's just like a banger. You know what I mean? Like
that.
It's so catchy. I mean, like I always get your hook stuck in my head all the time. And it's just it's really good. I enjoy
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Going back to you making the beat though, I wanted to say how unique this beat was, because like for people that don't know also, normal like structure for like a verse is like 4 bars, that's like half the verse, and then another 4 and another 4. Normally when you rhyme stuff, you try to rhyme it like 4 bars. But your beat was like, it had like a 5th bar on it that like was like an exclamation point, I would call it. I love it, dude.
Hell yeah.
At first it was throwing me off because I was like, oh, there's just like this extra bar in here. But it just felt like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say for these first 4 bars, and I'm going to, like I said, put this exclamation point at the end. You know what I mean? Like, wish I had ADT, like right at the end, and then go into it. You know what I mean? Was there, did you do that on purpose, or did you just kind of like, that's just how the sample ended up?
Really like, it's really just how the sample ended up. Cause like when it comes to like the technical side of things, like I most of the time, if like the sample works a certain way, I just kind of try to work around it. I don't try to change it like too much unless it's something that I want to like, you know, mix up a whole lot.
Right.
But yeah, that's just kind of how the sample ended up being. And like I'm glad that like, you know, like you appreciated that.
Oh
yeah,
like, dude.
I was kind of just like going, because a lot of the time I used to make music and not write hooks. Like I would just go straight, like just kind of, even when it was like a singing song, like just kind of go over it all the way and just kind of be like, okay, like that's it.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
there it is. And if I had a piece of lyric that I was like, okay, this is good enough to be the hook or something, I might do it over again. But yeah, this beat just kind of like spoke to me in that way. I just sort of wrote it out. That first part though, like I was saying, like when the hook first comes up, I didn't even intend on it being the hook at that point. But then when I like finished my verse off of it, I was like, okay, yeah, this definitely stands out as like, this could come back again, you know?
That's tight. That's actually like when I first started trying to write for this, I was trying to play off of how you were singing, because I was like, well, maybe I'll do half singing, half rapping too on this. But just like, I think I told you before, I kept like scrapping everything I was writing. I'm like, this isn't working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, it was the song that you did with Lackney, the Grove City song. When you put that out, you were just fucking straight rapping, killing the shit on that. And I was like, damn, this is so inspiring. And then Mighty Misk asked me to do a verse for him.
Okay.
And I like piggybacked off of your like flow, and I was like, damn, like you inspired me to write some like bars. So I went in, wrote some bars for Mighty Misks, and then after that, that's when I was like, I know exactly how I'm gonna tackle this. I'm not gonna sing, I'm just gonna write. And then that's when I just kind of dug into like the past, you know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
It's like a full circle moment of,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I do that all the time. Like, I won't finish something right away, but it's like, you get inspired off another piece you're working on or something like that. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can bring this idea back.
Yep. Like, cool, man. I love it. What else was I about to say here? That's pretty much it. I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to say about the song or?
Man, not too much. I hope people listen to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping, you know, if you haven't
you
listened
killed
to...
it. Like your verse was like perfect for it. Like I knew after I finished it, because I had wanted to work with you, but like I was saying, like when you came over to record it, like I don't always have like the right, like if I'm gonna make a song with somebody, I really want it to be like right for that situation and that person. And I feel like it just came out so perfect, you know. And I was like, because you're really somebody, like you write from the heart and like you write very in tune with yourself, so I knew like it would come out and be something special, you know.
Appreciate that,
and that's where I always like, I like working with people who can do that, like, you know, because you can rap your ass off, but you can also be very like in tune with yourself.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the best kind of music, is that you can relate to, and you know what I mean. Like if you can tell, if somebody's making music, you can kind of tell like this dude or woman is just making music just because they can, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Then you got people that like are making music because they should,
like for themselves, kind of.
Yep. So but yeah, like once again, I'm glad that you asked me to be on this, because
I appreciate you getting on.
I love it,
absolutely,
man. Well, that's all we got for you today. It's a quick in and out on the Featured Presentation podcast. This is Kwase. Make sure you check him out on all his socials. You want to plug some of your socials?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's kwase216 on Instagram and Twitter, and that's pretty much all. Or X, I mean, I keep forgetting it. Yeah. I still call it Twitter. I'll never stop calling it
I saw
Twitter.
somebody today like try to dog somebody on Twitter and like wrote this big thing, and the top comment was, because they wrote like, you are on X doing this, blah blah blah, and the top comment was, you're calling Twitter X? Or something?
Like
more.
It just feels like so strange. I'm like, I'll never call it that.
Even when I send like texts to people like a link, I'm like, did I send somebody porn? Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh shit, that's right, that's Twitter.
Exactly.
That's funny.
There though, but yeah, I'm really only on those two things. I'm on all streaming platforms though, so if you want to check it out, man, check it out.
Yep, check it out. I appreciate you watching this video and listening to this podcast. That means that you've either listened to the song or you're about to, and if you haven't, definitely go listen to it right now. But Kwase, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too.
Yep, and until next time, I'll see you guys.